Well, well, well. Look who just got the email. Look who just got the call. Look who just got that mysterious message from an encrypted number saying, "We need to talk about your file." And your first thought wasn't, "Oh no, I'm in trouble." Was it? No, no, no. Your first thought was, about damn time someone noticed. Because here's what they're not telling you. Here's what the news won't report. Here's what makes absolutely zero sense to everyone still playing by the old rules. The NSA didn't flag your search history to arrest you. They flagged it to promote you. Let that sink in for a second while your brain tries to process the absolute mindfuck of what I just said. The same people who are supposed to be tracking terrorists and criminals and threats to national security, they saw your 3 a.m. deep dives into psychological warfare tactics and didn't call it suspicious. They called it promising. They watched you research manipulation detection methods and didn't write potential threat in your file. They wrote advanced pattern recognition. They saw your browsing history full of behavioral psychology, dark triad personality traits, neuroscience of decision-making, mimetic warfare strategies, and information weaponization techniques. And instead of putting you on a watch list, they put you on a recruitment list. Do you understand what that means? Do you understand what you just accidentally revealed about yourself while everyone else was Googling how to get promoted at work and best resume templates and what to wear to an interview? You were studying the actual architecture of control, the real mechanisms of influence, the hidden frameworks that govern how reality gets shaped. And they noticed. Oh, they definitely noticed. Because here's the thing about intelligence agencies that nobody wants to admit. They're not looking for people who follow the script. They're looking for people who can see the script, decode the script, rewrite the script in real time without even thinking about it. They're looking for minds that don't just consume information, they weaponize it instinctively. They're looking for pattern recognition so advanced it looks like paranoia to normal people, but reads as strategic brilliance to anyone who actually understands how the game is played. And your search history, that beautiful, chaotic cathedral of forbidden knowledge you've been building at 4 a.m. for the last 3 years, it didn't scream dangerous lunatic to them. It screamed exactly what we've been looking for. You weren't researching this stuff because you wanted to hurt people. You were researching it because you needed to understand the systems that kept hurting you. You needed to decode why certain people always seemed to get ahead while you kept hitting invisible walls. You needed to understand why the rules never seemed to apply equally, why some people could lie their way to the top while honest people stayed stuck. Why the game felt rigged, because guess what, genius? It is rigged, and you figured that out. You didn't just suspect it. You researched it, documented it, cross-referenced it across psychology, economics, history, and neuroscience until you had a working model of exactly how power actually operates. And that model in your head, that's what they saw when they analyzed your digital footprint. They saw someone who taught themselves what universities refuse to teach, what corporations actively hide, what governments pretend doesn't exist. You learned the real curriculum, the one that explains how influence actually works, how narratives get manufactured, how consent gets engineered, how perception becomes reality. You learned it alone, at night, with no teacher except your own relentless need to understand why the world felt like a carefully constructed illusion. And now they're not trying to stop you. They're trying to recruit you because you did something most people never do. You looked at the machine, and instead of just complaining that it's broken, You learned how to build one yourself. Welcome to the other side of the mirror, my friend, where the watchers become the watched, where the surveillance state looks at your data and doesn't see a threat. They see a reflection. Let me tell you what's actually in that file they built on you. And I don't mean the sanitized version they'd show a lawyer. I mean the real profile, the one with the psychological assessment, the pattern analysis, the predictive modeling of your behavior under stress. They didn't just log your searches. They built a neural map of how your mind works. And what they found was beautiful to them. They found someone who searches for answers at the exact moments most people search for comfort. 3 a.m., and you're not looking at cat videos or celebrity gossip or mindless entertainment. You're looking up cognitive biases, game theory applications, the Stanford prison experiment, the Milgram obedience studies. And you're not just reading them, you're stress testing them against your own life experiences. They saw the progression in your search history, the evolution of someone who started with, "Why do people lie?" and ended up at the neuroscience of deception, detection, and counter-interrogation techniques. They watched you go from victim mentality to strategic mindset in real time through nothing but the trail of questions you asked the internet at ungodly hours. They saw you research emotional manipulation not to use it, but to immunize yourself against it. They saw you study narcissistic personality patterns not because you are one, but because you kept getting destroyed by them and refused to let it happen again. They saw you learn about corporate espionage tactics, not to steal secrets, but to understand why your ideas kept getting stolen at work and repackaged by people with better political skills. Every single search was self-defense, disguised as curiosity. And they know that. They know you weren't building a doomsday device. You were building a psychological immune system. They know you weren't trying to manipulate the masses. You were trying to stop being manipulated by everyone around you. They know you weren't researching psychological warfare because you wanted to wage it. You were researching it because you were tired of being a casualty in someone else's campaign. And here's what makes you valuable to them. You figured all this out without formal training, without institutional access, without mentorship or guidance. You just had a mind that refused to accept comfortable lies and a search history that proves it. The profile says you have above average intelligence, but that's not what caught their attention. Lots of people are smart. What caught their attention is that you have operational intelligence, the kind that can't be taught in classrooms. You instinctively understand systems, hierarchies, incentive structures, information asymmetries. You see the game board while others are still arguing about the rules. You recognize patterns in human behavior that most people need decades of experience to spot. You taught yourself skills that intelligence agencies spend millions trying to train into recruits. And you did it for free in your spare time because you were just trying to survive in a world that felt increasingly predatory. That's the profile they built. That's what the algorithm flagged. That's why you're not in trouble. You're being evaluated for extraction. And let me be clear about what extraction means in this context. They're not trying to turn you into some kind of spy or secret agent. This isn't a movie. What they're doing is infinitely more interesting and infinitely more subtle. They're identifying people who have self-selected into a certain kind of awareness, people who have proven through their own behavior that they can see systems most people can't see, people who have demonstrated pattern recognition capabilities that are statistically rare. And then they're quietly steering those people toward positions where that skill set becomes useful to the larger apparatus. A recommendation here, an opportunity there, a door that mysteriously opens when others stay closed, a promotion that doesn't quite make sense based on your resume but makes perfect sense based on your psychological profile. Here's what's truly disturbing and truly fascinating at the same time. The algorithm that flagged you knows more about your potential than you do. It analyzed millions of data points across your entire digital existence and built a predictive model of your decision-making process, your stress responses, your ethical boundaries, your breaking points, and your capabilities under pressure. It knows that you have a 87% probability of making rational decisions under emotional duress because it tracked how you research solutions when you're clearly in crisis mode based on the timestamps and intensity of your searches. It knows you have high trait conscientiousness because you fact-check claims before sharing them. You read multiple sources before forming opinions. You actively seek out information that contradicts your existing beliefs just to test them. It knows you have low agreeability in the Big Five personality sense, not because you're cruel, but because you prioritize truth over social harmony, which is exactly the personality type that intelligence work requires. It knows you have high openness to experience because your search history jumps between philosophy and neuroscience and economics and history and psychology without any formal structure, just pure curiosity-driven exploration. It knows you have the exact cognitive profile of someone who can hold contradictory information in their head without experiencing cognitive dissonance, who can entertain an idea without accepting it, who can analyze something objectively even when it challenges their identity. And that capacity for mental flexibility, that's rarer than genius-level IQ. That's what they're actually looking for. The algorithm saw patterns in your behavior that you yourself probably haven't consciously recognized yet. It saw that you research security vulnerabilities, not because you want to exploit them, but because you compulsively need to understand where systems are weak. It saw that you study propaganda techniques, not to use them, but to develop immunity to them. It saw that you analyze power structures not out of resentment, but out of genuine intellectual fascination with how influence operates at scale. It saw that you have the mind of someone who would rather understand an uncomfortable truth than believe a comforting lie. And in a world drowning in comfortable lies, that makes you incredibly valuable to people whose job is to deal with uncomfortable truths. They know you probably don't even realize how rare your thinking style actually is because you're surrounded by people who all claim to be critical thinkers, but the algorithm can see the difference. It can see that most people who claim to think critically just parrot contrarian talking points they absorbed from alternative media. But you actually do the work. You actually dig into primary sources. You actually change your mind when evidence contradicts your assumptions. You actually hold yourself to the same epistemic standards you apply to others. That intellectual honesty combined with strategic thinking capability, that's what creates the statistical anomaly in your profile that made the system flag you for evaluation instead of suppression. And here's the part that should simultaneously excite and terrify you. They've been watching this evolution in real time for years. They saw the moment you stopped searching for how to be successful and started searching for how success is actually manufactured. They saw when your queries shifted from how to be confident to the neuroscience of confidence and its relationship to competence. They saw you level up from consumer of information to analyst of information systems themselves. They watched you essentially give yourself an intelligence education through nothing but disciplined curiosity and refusal to accept surface-level explanations. They watched you become exactly the kind of thinker that the system simultaneously fears and desperately needs. And now, they're deciding what to do with you. So what does this promotion actually look like? What happens when the machinery of power decides you're more useful inside the system than outside it? It doesn't come with an official job offer or a classified briefing or a man in a black suit showing up at your door. That's Hollywood nonsense. What actually happens is far more subtle and far more insidious and far more effective. Opportunities start appearing in your life that seem like coincidences, but have statistical improbabilities that should make you suspicious if you're paying attention, which of course you are, because your search history proves you understand how influence operations actually work. A recruiter reaches out about a position you never applied for at a company you've never heard of, but when you research it, you find layers of corporate ownership that eventually trace back to defense contractors or private intelligence firms or strategic consulting groups that specialize in risk analysis. An old contact suddenly reconnects after years of silence and mentions they're working on a project that could really use someone with your unique perspective. And when you ask what they mean by unique perspective, they get oddly vague but very insistent that you'd be perfect for it. You get invited to conferences or workshops or networking events that seem slightly above your current professional level, and when you show up, you notice the other attendees all have that same particular energy, that same pattern recognition capability, that same intellectual restlessness that you recognize in yourself because you've been surrounded by people who don't think like this your entire life, and you can spot your own kind now. These aren't coincidences. This is cultivation. This is how intelligence recruitment actually works in the modern era, through soft power and strategic placement rather than hard recruitment pitches. The promotion is them opening doors you didn't even know existed and then watching to see if you're smart enough to walk through them. It's them creating conditions where your skill set becomes obviously valuable to people who have the power to elevate you. It's them engineering situations where you get to demonstrate your analytical capabilities to exactly the right audience at exactly the right moment. And if you perform the way your profile suggests you will, if you prove that the algorithm's assessment was accurate, then the doors keep opening, the opportunities keep appearing, the career trajectory keeps bending in directions that don't make sense based on traditional metrics, but make perfect sense when you understand that someone somewhere decided you're worth investing in. But here's the catch, and you already know there's always a catch. This promotion comes with invisible obligations. They're not going to hand you a contract that says, in exchange for this career advancement, you must serve the interests of the national security apparatus. That would be legally problematic and also completely unnecessary. What they're going to do instead is put you in positions where your natural incentives align with their strategic interests. They're going to give you problems to solve that exercise your analytical muscles in ways that feel intellectually satisfying, while also happening to generate insights that are useful to people you'll never meet. They're going to surround you with colleagues who share your worldview and your skill set and your values, creating a professional environment that feels like you finally found your tribe, which makes you naturally loyal to the organization without anyone ever having to explicitly demand that loyalty. You'll start to notice that the work you're doing, even if it seems totally disconnected from anything related to intelligence or national security, somehow keeps touching on questions of influence, persuasion, narrative formation, information warfare, behavioral prediction, system vulnerability analysis, and strategic communication. You'll realize that you've essentially been recruited into the broader ecosystem of power analysis and reality construction, not as a spy, but as a thinker whose thoughts are valuable to people who shape how the world works. And the beautiful, terrible thing about this is that you can't even really complain about it because they're giving you exactly what your search history indicates you wanted. They're giving you access to the actual mechanisms of power. They're giving you problems worthy of your intellect. They're giving you a seat at a table where the real games are played. They're promoting you into the reality you've been trying to understand from the outside for years. Every search you made was a vote. Every article you read was a signal. Every question you asked the internet at 3 a.m. was you essentially auditioning for a role you didn't know existed. You thought you were just trying to understand the world, but what you were actually doing was demonstrating a particular kind of consciousness that the system is designed to identify and absorb. And now, you're at a crossroads that most people never even get to see because they never developed the pattern recognition to understand they're at a crossroads. You can reject this. You can recognize what's happening and deliberately sabotage your own trajectory. You can become the person who saw the machine and decided to stay outside it. That's a valid choice. That's a noble choice in many ways. That's the choice of someone who values autonomy over influence, who prefers integrity over access, who would rather be free than powerful. But let's be honest about what that choice actually costs, because you're too smart for comfortable delusions. If you reject this path, if you deliberately stay outside the system, you don't get to pretend you're going to change it from the outside. You've researched enough history to know that's not how power works. You've studied enough revolutions to know they just replace one elite with another. You've analyzed enough social movements to recognize that the ones that actually succeed are the ones that understand how to operate within existing power structures rather than trying to overthrow them. Staying outside means accepting that your insights will remain marginal. Your analysis will be dismissed as conspiracy theory by people with less understanding but more credibility. Your capabilities will be wasted on trying to convince people who fundamentally lack the cognitive architecture to understand what you're trying to tell them. Or you can accept the promotion. You can walk through the doors that are opening. You can take the opportunities that are being engineered into your path. You can let yourself be absorbed into the machinery of power and tell yourself it's so you can change it from the inside, which is what everyone tells themselves, and sometimes it's even true. You can rationalize it as, if people like me don't take these positions, then who will? Which is a compelling argument, and also the exact argument the system is designed to make you think. You can convince yourself that you'll maintain your integrity, that you'll use your access responsibly, that you'll be the exception to every historical pattern of how power corrupts analytical minds by giving them just enough influence to feel important, while keeping them far enough from real decision-making to ensure they never actually threaten anything fundamental. And here's what makes this choice so difficult. They're not asking you to do anything evil. They're not asking you to hurt people, or lie, or betray your values, or commit crimes. What they're asking is so much more subtle and so much more effective. They're asking you to apply your intelligence to problems they define, to accept their framing of what questions are important, to work within their parameters of what solutions are possible. They're asking you to be brilliant within boundaries, exceptional within constraints, revolutionary within acceptable limits. And most people in your position take that deal because it feels like winning. It feels like you finally got recognized for your capabilities. It feels like validation after years of being misunderstood and underestimated by people who couldn't see what you were building inside your own head. But you know better, don't you? You've researched this exact dynamic. You've studied how systems absorb dissent, by giving dissenters just enough power to feel invested in the system's survival. You've analyzed how intelligence agencies in particular are experts at identifying people with dangerous levels of awareness and then channeling that awareness into productive uses before it becomes genuinely threatening. You know that the promotion is real and the opportunities are real and the access is real, but you also know that access is a chain disguised as a key. You know that the moment you start depending on these opportunities for your livelihood, for your identity, for your sense of purpose and meaning, you've given them leverage over you that they will absolutely use the moment your analysis starts threatening anything they actually care about protecting. You know all of this because your search history proves you understand how power actually operates. So, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Let me make something absolutely clear that you might not have fully processed yet. The surveillance wasn't preparation for the interview. The surveillance was the interview. Every search query was a test question. Every article you read was revealing your decision-making framework. Every forum post you made was demonstrating your communication style and your ability to handle disagreement. They didn't need to sit you down in a room and ask about your qualifications because they already had years of behavioral data showing exactly how you think, how you handle stress, what your ethical boundaries are, how you respond to new information that contradicts your existing beliefs. They know more about how your mind works than any traditional interview could ever reveal because they watched you when you thought no one was watching, when you had no reason to perform or present a curated version of yourself. They know you're not an ideological extremist because your search history shows intellectual curiosity rather than confirmation bias. They know you're not a security risk because you research security vulnerabilities but never actually attempted to exploit them. They know you have impulse control because there's a massive gap between what you search for and what you actually do, which indicates you can separate intellectual interest from behavioral action, which is exactly the quality they need in people who will have access to sensitive information. They know you can keep secrets because you clearly spent years developing this knowledge base without broadcasting it, without building a social media following around it, without trying to monetize it or turn it into status. You just quietly accumulated understanding for its own sake. They saw that you don't need external validation to sustain your intellectual pursuits, which means you're less likely to be compromised by ego or status seeking. They saw that you're capable of entertaining disturbing ideas without becoming disturbed, which is essential for analytical work that requires looking at worst-case scenarios and adversarial thinking. They saw that you have the emotional regulation to research dark topics without becoming dark yourself, to study manipulation without becoming a manipulator, to understand how to break systems without actually breaking them. That's the profile of someone who can be trusted with power because they've already demonstrated they don't need to abuse it to feel powerful. Your restraint is what made you valuable. Not your capabilities alone, but your capabilities combined with discipline. And here's what should truly disturb you. They know you well enough to predict how you're reacting to this video right now. They know that someone with your psychological profile would be simultaneously fascinated and paranoid about this information. They know you're probably already trying to figure out if this is itself part of the recruitment process, if someone is monitoring whether you engage with content about being monitored, if this is a meta test of your reaction to being told you're being tested. They know you're smart enough to recognize that true power doesn't announce itself. It just arranges circumstances and watches what people do. They know that you know that they know, and they've already modeled how someone with your cognitive style would respond to that level of awareness. The game is so many layers deep that trying to opt out might itself be a predicted response that serves their purposes in ways you can't even see yet. But here's what they might not have fully accounted for. They built their model based on your searches, but searches only reveal questions, not conclusions. They saw what you were curious about, but not necessarily what you decided. They saw your intellectual journey, but not your final destination. They saw you gathering puzzle pieces, but they're making assumptions about what picture you're building with those pieces. And that gap between their model and your actual intentions, that's the only space of genuine freedom you have left. That's the only part of your mind that isn't already mapped and predicted and channeled. What you choose to do with the knowledge you've accumulated, how you choose to use the pattern recognition you've developed, what side of the game you ultimately decide to play for, that's still genuinely up to you. At least for now. At least until your next series of choices generates enough new data for them to update their model. The surveillance was the interview, and you passed. But passing just means you get to the next level. It doesn't mean you've won anything yet. So here's where we are. You've been identified, you've been evaluated, you've been flagged for extraction from the general population into the operational layer of reality. You're no longer just a user of the system. You're being invited to understand the system, to see the code beneath the interface, to recognize that everything you thought was organic is actually engineered, and everything you thought was chaos is actually controlled chaos with specific functions. The promotion they're offering isn't just a job, it's an operating system upgrade for your entire existence. It's the red pill. Except the red pill doesn't take you out of the matrix. It just moves you to a different level within it, where you get to see how it's constructed, even as you're still trapped inside it. And this is the part where I'm supposed to tell you that you're special, that you're chosen, that you're one of the rare minds capable of handling this level of awareness. But you're too smart for that manipulation tactic, aren't you? You know that making people feel special is the oldest recruitment tool in the book. So instead, let me tell you something true. You're not special. You're statistical. You're one of thousands of people who develop this pattern recognition capability every year through similar paths of intellectual curiosity and systematic self-education. What makes you valuable isn't that you're unique, it's that you're useful. You have a skill set that aligns with institutional needs. You have a cognitive style that fits specific operational requirements. You have demonstrated capabilities that are expensive to train and therefore valuable to identify organically. They're not recruiting you because you're better than other people. They're recruiting you because you're compatible with the machinery they're already running. You're a component that fits, a puzzle piece that completes a pattern, a node that strengthens their network. Your intellectual journey that felt so personal and so unique to you, it was actually following a well-worn path that intelligence agencies have been monitoring for decades. The questions you asked yourself in the dark at 3 a.m., those weren't original insights. They were predictable stages in a developmental trajectory that leads from naive curiosity about how the world works to sophisticated understanding of how power operates. You're not the first person to take this journey, and you won't be the last. You're just someone who took it during a period when the system is actively harvesting people like you. And knowing that your awakening is itself a classified phenomenon that gets tracked and managed and directed, how does that change things? Does it make you feel less special? Does it make you feel manipulated? Does it make you angry that even your rebellion against the system was anticipated by the system? Or does it actually make you feel relieved in a weird way? Relieved that you're not crazy, that the patterns you saw were real, that your instincts about how things actually work were accurate, even if the conclusions you drew from those instincts are now being used to absorb you into the very structures you were trying to understand. Your paranoia was justified. Your suspicions were correct. Your research was on target. You just didn't realize that being right about how the system works doesn't exempt you from how the system works. It just determines which role you play within it. So, welcome to the operating system. Welcome to the level of reality where you get to see how the game is played even as you're still a piece on the board. Welcome to the awareness that solves nothing but changes everything. Welcome to knowing that your knowledge is valuable precisely because it makes you controllable in more sophisticated ways than people who remain ignorant. Welcome to the permanent state of meta-awareness, where you can see your own manipulation happening in real time but can't quite figure out how to escape it, because every escape route you can imagine has already been mapped and probably leads exactly where they wanted you to go anyway. Welcome to the promotion you earned through years of searching for truth. Congratulations. You're finally seeing reality clearly. And that clarity is your new cage, beautifully designed specifically for minds like yours. Minds that need to understand their prison to tolerate being in one. The surveillance flagged you. The algorithm evaluated you. The system promoted you. And now you get to decide if that's liberation or just a more sophisticated form of control. Either way, they're not arresting you. They're investing in you, which should terrify you far more than handcuffs ever could. They called it love, huh? Nah. It felt more like a battlefield. Every smile, a trap. Every promise, a loaded weapon aimed right at your soul. Tell me something. How does someone who swears they love you end up being the one who breaks you the most? How does I care about you turn into sleepless nights, empty stares, and a heart so heavy it feels like it's dragging you under? Have you ever asked yourself that? They don't love you. Nah, they love the control. They love the power. They love the way you bend, break, and bleed just to keep them happy. And you're there, holding the pieces they shattered, thinking it's your job to put them back together, thinking it's love. But here's the truth. Love doesn't feel like walking on eggshells. Love doesn't make you question your worth. Real love, it holds you steady when the world shakes. It's the fire that warms you, not the one that burns you alive. Let's get one thing straight. If they cared about you, they wouldn't keep cutting you. If they valued you, they wouldn't leave you picking up the pieces of their mess, would they? Nah. Let's call it what it is. A lie wrapped in sweet words and false promises. But here's the kicker. You believed it. Yeah. You did. Don't feel bad. We all do at some point. That's the illusion of love. It blinds you, binds you, makes you think you need them. But listen closely. You don't need anyone who makes you feel like less than you are. You don't need someone who leaves scars where there should be tenderness. It's time to wake up, to see the lies for what they are, to see the pain for what it is, a weapon they used to control you. And now it's your turn to take back that power, to rewrite the story they tried to control. You're not weak. Nah, you're stronger than they'll ever admit. Because while they were busy trying to break you, you were learning how to rebuild. While they were taking, you were growing. And now you're unstoppable. So let me ask you one last time. Are you ready to stop chasing the illusion and start chasing your freedom? Are you ready to leave behind the lies and step into the light of your own strength? Because if you are, It's time. Time to burn the battlefield and rise from the ashes. Let them call it love. You'll call it your past. Ah, promises. Sweet little lies dressed up in fancy words, wrapped in ribbons of hope. They tell you what you want to hear. Feed just enough to keep you hooked. And you take the bait. Every single time. Their words were like honey-coated poison. Smooth, sweet, irresistible. But beneath that sugary layer, pure venom. The kind that seeps into your soul. The kind that doesn't just hurt, it destroys. They knew exactly what they were doing, didn't they? Saying just the right thing to keep you hoping. Believing. Waiting. I'll change, I'll do better this time, will be different sound familiar. Let's be real. How many of those promises turned into actions? How many of those sweet nothings turned into something? Or were they just echoes? Empty, hollow. A cruel joke they played on your heart. You gave them chance after chance. And what did they do? They took it. Took you. Took everything you had to give and left you with nothing but broken dreams and a soul heavy with their lies. And the worst part, they made you feel like it was your fault. But here's the truth, and it's ugly. They never intended to keep those promises. No, they just needed them to keep you in line. To keep you loyal. To keep you blind to the truth of who they really are. But you're not blind anymore. Are you? Nah. You see it now, the pattern. The manipulation. And it's time to break free. Because you deserve better than honey-coated poison. Better than lies dressed as love. So tell me, how many more promises are you going to listen to before you say enough? How many more times will you let them break you before you take back your power? Because let me tell you something, they're not going to stop. But you can. The weight of their false promises doesn't have to be yours to carry anymore. Let it go. Drop it. And watch how light you feel when you finally free yourself from their chains. They thought they had you. Thought their words would keep you caged forever. But nah, you're walking away. Stronger, smarter, free. Let their promises weigh them down now. You've got better things to carry, like your strength, your future, your truth. Betrayal. A word that doesn't just hurt, it burns. Because it never comes from the outside. Nah. It's not the strangers who twist the knife. It's the ones closest to you. The ones who knew where to aim. Every betrayal? It's like a dagger, not a clean stab either. Oh no, they twist it. Slow, deliberate, watching you bleed, watching you crumble. And the worst part, they do it with a smile you once trusted. They knew your fears, your secrets, your dreams. They held your heart in their hands. And instead of guarding it, they crushed it, like it was nothing, like you were nothing. And you stood there, didn't you? Shocked, paralyzed, asking yourself why? Why would they do this? Why would someone I trusted with my soul turn it into a weapon against me? You gave them everything. Your loyalty, your love, and they gave you scars in return. Deep ones. The kind that don't just heal. The kind that leave marks on your very being. But here's the bitter truth. Betrayal doesn't say a damn thing about you. It screams about them, their weakness, their cruelty, their inability to handle the kind of love and trust you gave so freely. Still, it hurts, doesn't it? Feels like a part of you was ripped away. But let me tell you something, every scar they gave you, it's a lesson, a reminder that even in your pain you survived, you're here. So why did the ones closest cut the deepest? Because they had the blade all along. But here's the twist they didn't see coming: you're not broken. Nah, you're reforged, stronger, sharper, and ready for what's next. They thought they destroyed you, but all they did was create someone they can never hurt again, someone they'll fear to face. And that's your power now. The pain of betrayal doesn't define you. It's what you do with it that leaves the mark. So tell me, what are you going to do with yours? They told you it was love, didn't they? But love isn't supposed to feel like a battlefield. It's not supposed to leave you scarred, broken, and doubting your own worth. Nah. That's not love. That's control. That's manipulation. That's them holding you down to feel bigger. Let me tell you something. Real love, it doesn't burn you alive. It keeps you warm in a cold, cold world. It's not the raging fire that destroys everything in its path. It's the steady flame that lights your way when everything else feels dark. Real love doesn't make you question your value. It reminds you of it. It doesn't shatter your confidence. It builds it, piece by piece, day by day. Real love doesn't just see your flaws, it embraces them, holds them close, makes you feel whole, not hollow. But here's the truth most won't tell you. Sometimes you hold on to someone so tight, you don't even notice they're dragging you down. You're gripping them like a lifeline. But in reality, they're the anchor pulling you under. So ask yourself right here, right now, are you holding on to someone who's holding you back? Are you mistaking their chains for connection, their excuses for effort, their apologies for action? True love doesn't feel heavy. It feels freeing. It's not about filling the empty spaces in your heart. It's about sharing the fullness of who you are, without fear, without judgment, without games. They want you to believe that love is pain, that love is sacrifice. But nah, love isn't supposed to hurt like that. Real love, it heals, it elevates, it makes you better, not bitter. So I'll ask you again, are you holding on to someone who's holding you back? Or are you ready to let go and find the love that's been waiting for you, the kind that doesn't just touch your heart, but sets your soul free? Because the truth is, you deserve more. You've always deserved more. And deep down, you've known it all along. They were there, weren't they? The signs, the warnings, flashing like neon lights in a dark alley. But you ignored them. You told yourself it wasn't that bad, that they'd change, that love would fix it. But now, love doesn't fix what doesn't want to be healed. Ignoring the red flags? It's like driving blindfolded. You think you'll make it. You hope for the best. But deep down, you know where this road leads. You're not steering anymore. You're crashing. And when you hit the wall, you'll wonder why you didn't slam the brakes sooner. They showed you who they were, over and over again. The lies, the manipulation, the excuses. But you closed your eyes, didn't you? You silenced the voice screaming inside, telling you to run. How many times did you brush off their anger, calling it passion? How often did you explain away their cruelty as just a bad day? How many cracks did you cover up with the glue of hope, only to watch everything shatter again? Let me tell you something, those red flags, they weren't decorations, they were warnings. They were screaming at you to wake up, to see the truth, to stop trading your peace for their chaos. And the cost of ignoring them. Oh, it's high. It's your sanity, your self-worth, your time, the one thing you can never get back. Every day you stayed was another day you lost. Another piece of yourself you gave to someone who didn't deserve it. So I'll ask you, right now, how many warning signs did you overlook before it all became too much? How many times did you choose to drown in their toxicity instead of swimming to your freedom? You think you were strong for staying, But real strength, real power, it's in walking away. It's in refusing to ignore the signs ever again. Because here's the truth. Those red flags, they don't disappear. They don't change. And the longer you ignore them, the deeper you sink into their trap. So stop driving blindfolded. Stop crashing into the same walls over and over again. Take the blindfold off, see the truth for what it is, and walk away before the cost becomes everything you are. They told you letting go was weakness, that holding on meant you cared, that staying meant you were strong. But nah, letting go, that's where the real power is. It's not losing, it's breaking free from a cage they built around you, free from the chains you never deserved to carry. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't love. It doesn't mean you didn't try. It means you finally realized your worth isn't tied to their approval. Your life doesn't need their chaos to feel alive. It means you saw the poison and chose not to drink it anymore. What's holding you back? Is it the fear of being alone? The whispers in your head telling you they'll change? Or is it the memory of what could have been, if only they were someone they're not? Let me tell you something. The chains you're afraid to break, they're already choking you. Every day you stay, you lose a little more of yourself, a little more of your light, until one day there's nothing left but the shadow they created. But you weren't born to live in shadows. You weren't meant to settle for half love, half truths, and half-hearted apologies. You were meant to soar, to rise, to claim a life that makes you feel alive, not just existing to please someone else's brokenness. Letting go. It's not giving up. It's fighting back. It's tearing down the walls they built around you. It's saying, enough of the lies. Enough of the hurt. Enough of sacrificing yourself for someone who wouldn't even meet you halfway. So I'll ask you again. What's holding you back from cutting those chains today? What are you still afraid of losing when all they ever brought was pain? Because when you let go, you don't lose them. You lose the weight of their betrayal. You lose the fear they planted in your heart. You lose the emptiness they left behind. And in that space, you gain something far more valuable yourself. Letting go is the moment you reclaim your power. The moment you stop living for their approval and start living for your peace. It's not weakness. It's freedom. It's survival. It's the first step toward the life you deserve. So go on. Cut those chains. Break free. Let go. And watch how powerful you become when you stop holding on to what's been holding you back. They thought they broke you, didn't they? Thought the cracks they left would keep you shattered forever. Nah, they didn't realize something about people like us. We don't just survive, we rebuild. And those pieces they tried to destroy, we turn them into a masterpiece. Heartbreak isn't the end. It's the forge. The fire that burns away the illusions and reveals the raw, unyielding steel underneath. Yeah, it hurts. It burns. But that pain, that's the start of something bigger, something stronger, something they'll never be able to break again. You ever stop to think why they tried to crush you? It's because they saw the potential in you, the light they couldn't dim, the strength they couldn't control. And yeah, maybe for a moment, they succeeded. But now you're not just putting the pieces back together. You're creating something they can't even comprehend. So tell me, what's stopping you? What's holding you back from rising stronger than ever before? Is it fear, doubt, or is it their voice still echoing in your head, telling you you're not enough? Let me tell you something they don't get to say anymore, not in your pain. Not in your healing. Not in your future. They wrote their chapter in your story. But you're the author now. In this next chapter, it's about triumph, about power, about you turning every scar into a badge of honor. Your Heartbreak isn't the end of you. It's the beginning of a new version of you. The version that knows their worth. The version that won't settle for half love and empty promises. The version that thrives in the face of everything they threw at you. Because thriving isn't just about surviving. It's about taking the pain they left and using it as fuel. It's about rising so high they can't even see the top anymore. It's about becoming untouchable. So I'll ask you again, what's stopping you from rising stronger than ever before? What's keeping you from turning the ashes of heartbreak into the foundation of your empire? Because here's the truth. They broke your heart. But they didn't break you. And now, it's your turn to show them what unbreakable really looks like. You ever feel like people just come in, play around with your heart, and leave? Like your love is just a game to them? Nah, not anymore. Your heart, it's not a playground. It's a treasure. Something rare. Something valuable. Something that deserves to be protected. See, the problem is, we let people treat us like we're disposable. We let them trample over our emotions. Like it doesn't matter. But here's the truth. Your heart wasn't made to be someone's amusement. It's meant to be cherished, respected, and if they can't see that, if they can't treat it with the reverence it deserves, then they're not worth a second of your time. Yeah, I said it. Not a second. And it's time to set some boundaries. Because the moment you stop tolerating disrespect is the moment you start demanding what you deserve. You've let people walk all over you. You've let them use you, manipulate you, drain you. Why? Because you didn't know your worth. But guess what? Now you do. And now you're not just going to stand there. You're going to stand up and demand respect. Your love. It's not some cheap thrill to be tossed around. It's not a prize for someone who just shows up and pretends they care. Your heart is a treasure. And if they can't see that, they can get the hell out of your life. No apologies, no excuses. So what's your next move? What's one boundary you're ready to enforce right now? Is it saying no to the people who drain you? Is it blocking out the negativity that only brings you down? Or is it telling someone that your time, your love, your energy, it's not for sale? And it's not for anyone who isn't worthy of it. Remember this, you don't have to tolerate disrespect to be loved. You don't have to settle for less than you deserve. Your heart isn't a playground. It's a fortress. And the only ones who get in, the ones who understand its value. Now go. Set those boundaries. Redefine your standards. Because you're not here to play games. You're here to win. You've been through the pain. You've felt the sting of betrayal. The weight of broken promises. But here's the truth. A soulmate, they don't destroy you. They don't play games with your heart. Nah. They build you up. They hold your heart with care, not crush it with disregard. The right one isn't going to tear you down. They're not going to take what's precious and throw it away. A soulmate doesn't play with your emotions like a puppet master. They stand by your side. They lift you up when you're down. They see your scars and love you because of them, not in spite of them. A true soulmate, they'll never make you feel small. They'll make you feel like you're everything. They'll hold your heart gently, with respect and understanding. They'll never treat your love like it's something to be thrown around. They'll protect it, cherish it, and guard it like the treasure it truly is. So what's your next step? What's one thing you're going to do today to find that love? To find someone who truly sees you, someone who will never break you. Want to know how to recognize the love you truly deserve? Stay tuned. The next chapter, it's going to change everything. Because your heart deserves more than just a love story. It deserves a legend.